What if I told you that just 1 year of self-discipline could completely transform your life? No magic formula, no overnight success, just small, consistent actions repeated every single day. Sounds simple, right? But here's the catch. Most people never make it past the first week. For the last 365 days, I made self-discipline my one priority. I changed my habits, my mindset, and my daily routine. And today, I'm going to share exactly what happened. This isn't just another motivational video. This is real. A full year of committing to discipline in my health, my work, my habits, and even my relationships. The results? More energy, more clarity, more success, and most importantly, complete control over my life. Look, motivation is a lie. It fades. You can't rely on feeling inspired every day to get things done. In fact, studies show that self-discipline is the one predictor of long-term success, more than talent, intelligence, or even passion. The problem? Most of us never train this skill, so we stay stuck. But what happens when you do train it? When you stop waiting for the right moment and start taking action daily, everything changes. This is what happened when I committed to self-discipline for 365 days. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how you can do it too. Before I committed to 365 days of self-discipline, my life was frustratingly inconsistent. I had goals. I wanted to get in shape, be more productive, read more books, and finally build something meaningful. But I was stuck in a cycle of procrastination and bad habits. I'd wake up every morning with the intention to be productive, but by the end of the day, I'd have nothing to show for it. My workouts were sporadic, my to-do lists remained untouched, and my mind was constantly distracted by social media, Netflix, and meaningless scrolling. I had moments of motivation, but they never lasted. Some days, I'd feel incredibly inspired after watching a motivational video or reading a self-improvement book, but that energy would fade within a few days. I was trapped in what I now call the motivation trap, always chasing a spark of inspiration instead of building real, lasting discipline. I made excuses. I'll start tomorrow. I don't have enough time, or I just need to wait for the right moment. Deep down, I knew these were lies, but I still told them to myself every single day. Worse, I saw my lack of discipline affecting my confidence and self-esteem. I'd set goals and not follow through. I'd make promises to myself and break them. Over time, I started believing that maybe I just wasn't the kind of person who could be disciplined. And that thought scared me. Was I going to be stuck in this cycle forever? Was I going to look back in 5 or 10 years and realize I had wasted my potential because I couldn't control my own actions? That was the fear that finally pushed me to change. The turning point wasn't some grand dramatic moment. It wasn't a rock-bottom crisis or a sudden realization. It was something much simpler. I got tired of my own excuses. I remember sitting at my desk one evening, feeling frustrated after another wasted day, and asking myself a hard question. What would happen if I just stopped waiting for motivation and started acting like the person I wanted to become? That night, I picked up a book that would change my entire perspective, Atomic Habits by James Clear. In it, I read a quote that hit me like a truck. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That's when I realized that my entire approach to success had been wrong. I had been setting goals, but I had never built the habits and systems to reach them. That was the missing piece. I started studying people who had mastered self-discipline, entrepreneurs, athletes, writers, and high performers. They all had one thing in common. They didn't rely on motivation. They had systems, habits, and routines that made success inevitable. That's when I made the decision. For 1 full year, I was going to stop relying on willpower and build a system of self-discipline that would make my success automatic. I grabbed a notebook and wrote down a simple rule for myself. For the next 365 days, I will prioritize discipline over comfort. That was it. No more excuses. No more waiting for motivation. I was going to act like the disciplined person I wanted to become, whether I felt like it or not. I knew that if I wanted to truly transform my life, I needed a structured plan. So, I broke my self-discipline journey into 5 key areas. 1. Health, taking control of my body and energy levels. 2. Productivity, eliminating distractions and getting more meaningful work done. 3. Habits, building small daily actions that compound into massive results. Fourth mindset, training my mind to embrace discomfort and stay focused. 5. Relationships, cutting out toxic influences and surrounding myself with disciplined people. Each of these areas required different strategies, but they all shared one common rule. I had to show up every single day, no matter what. Here's exactly how I structured my plan. 1. Health, mastering physical discipline, daily workouts, no excuses. I committed to exercising every single day, even if it was just 20 minutes. No skipping, no, I don't feel like it. Strict sleep schedule. I set a consistent bedtime and wake-up time, eliminating late-night distractions and random sleep patterns. Nutrition rules. No more mindless junk food. I followed a simple rule. 80% whole, nutritious foods, 20% flexibility. Cold showers. To train my body to embrace discomfort instead of avoiding it. 2. Productivity. Eliminating procrastination. No social media before noon, to prevent mindless scrolling from hijacking my morning focus. The 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, I do it immediately. No delaying. Deep work blocks. I set 90-minute distraction-free work sessions every morning for my most important tasks. Daily planning. Every night I wrote down the 3 most important things I needed to accomplish the next day. 3. Habits. Small actions, big results. The never skip twice. Rule. If I missed a habit, I had to do it the next day. No exceptions. Habit stacking. I attach new habits to existing ones, e.g., reading 10 pages after my morning coffee. Daily journaling. I reflected on my progress, struggles, and wins to stay accountable. Fourth mindset. Wiring my brain for discipline. Discomfort training. I purposely did things that made me uncomfortable. Waking up early, taking cold showers, pushing through hard workouts. Affirmations and visualization. Every morning I reminded myself of the person I was becoming. No 0 days. No matter how small, I had to take some action toward my goals daily. 5. Relationships. Surrounding myself with discipline, cutting out negativity. I distanced myself from negative, unmotivated people who drained my energy. Finding accountability partners. I connected with like-minded people who were also on their discipline journey. Learning from the best. I consumed content only from people who had mastered self-discipline. Books, podcasts, interviews. This plan wasn't about perfection. It was about consistency. I wasn't aiming for extreme, unsustainable changes. I was simply committing to showing up day after day for an entire year. And that commitment changed everything. At first it was hard. My mind resisted. My old habits fought back. But little by little, things started to shift. I began waking up with more energy, feeling more focused, and actually getting things done. I wasn't relying on motivation anymore. Discipline was becoming my default. And that's when the real transformation began. The first 30 days of this self-discipline journey were brutal. I had spent years operating on autopilot, following the path of least resistance, and now I was trying to rewire my brain overnight. My old habits didn't just disappear because I had written down a new set of rules. They fought back, hard. The hardest part? The inconsistency in my energy and willpower. The first couple of days were filled with excitement. I woke up early, hit the gym, planned my day, and stuck to my productivity schedule. But by the end of the first week, I was mentally exhausted. The willpower that had carried me through the first few days had drained almost completely. Suddenly, waking up early felt impossible. Skipping social media in the morning felt unnatural. Pushing through my workouts felt like a chore rather than an achievement. I realized something crucial during those early days. Willpower is like a muscle. It gets tired the more you use it. Every decision I had to consciously make, whether to work or procrastinate, whether to eat healthy or grab fast food, whether to stick to my deep work blocks or scroll through my phone, was draining my mental energy. And once my willpower reserves were depleted, my old habits would creep back in. The most frustrating part was the internal resistance. My mind constantly tried to negotiate with me. You don't have to wake up early today. 1 extra hour of sleep won't hurt. You worked hard yesterday, so skipping the gym this morning is fine. Just check your phone for 5 minutes. You deserve a break. These little negotiations were how I had sabotaged myself in the past, and now I was seeing them play out in real time. By the end of the second week, I knew that if I kept trying to rely on sheer motivation and willpower, I was going to fail. I needed something stronger. I needed systems. I had heard the phrase before: motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. But I finally understood what it really meant. Motivation is like a spark. It burns bright for a moment, but quickly fades. Discipline, on the other hand, is built through systems, structured routines and rules that remove decision-making from the equation. So I went back to the drawing board and asked myself, how can I make these habits automatic? How can I remove willpower from the process? 1. Habit stacking, making new habits stick. Instead of trying to create new habits from scratch, I attached them to existing habits I was already doing. This concept, known as habit stacking, made it easier for my brain to accept the changes. Morning routine. I had already built the habit of making coffee every morning, so I attached a new habit to it. As soon as I made my coffee, I would sit down and plan my day for 10 minutes. Workout routine. Instead of relying on motivation to go to the gym, I made it automatic by putting my gym clothes next to my bed every night. When I woke up, I didn't think, I just put them on and left. Reading habit. I linked my reading habit to my lunch break. Instead of scrolling on my phone while eating, I kept a book next to my plate and read 10 pages every day. By pairing new habits with existing ones, I wasn't adding extra mental weight to my day. I was just modifying what I was already doing. 2. Time blocking. Controlling my day instead of reacting to it. One of my biggest problems before starting this challenge was reactive living. I would wake up and just go with the flow, hoping to be productive but never having a clear plan. That changed when I started time blocking. Every night I planned out my next day in detail. First 90 minutes of the day, deep work, writing, creative projects, or my most important task. Mid-morning block, emails, admin tasks, and small wins. Afternoon block, gym session, and a second deep work session. Evening block, reflection, reading, and winding down. By giving every hour of my day a purpose, I eliminated the guesswork. There was no, what should I work on now? Because I had already decided the night before. 3. Accountability, making quitting unacceptable. I knew that the hardest days, the ones where I wanted to quit, would come eventually. So I built accountability into my system. Daily check-in journal. Every night, I wrote down what I accomplished, what I struggled with, and what I needed to improve. Public commitment. I told friends and family about my challenge. Some of them even joined me in small ways, which made it harder to back out. Tracking progress. Visibly, I created a calendar and marked an X for every disciplined day. Watching those X's stack up became addicting. I didn't want to break the streak. By the time I completed the first 30 days, I realized that the hardest part of self-discipline wasn't the habits themselves. It was the mental resistance. My old identity, the version of me that procrastinated, made excuses, and relied on motivation, was dying, and it was painful. But something incredible started happening. Small wins began to build momentum. Waking up early no longer felt like a punishment. It became my normal. Working out daily didn't feel like a chore. It became part of my identity. Planning my day wasn't extra work. It became something I actually looked forward to. The biggest shift happened internally. Before, I saw myself as someone who wanted to be disciplined. But now I was starting to believe that I was a disciplined person. That identity shift changed everything. One of the most powerful lessons I learned came from a concept called identity-based habits, another gem from Atomic Habits by James Clear. Instead of focusing on what I wanted to achieve, I focused on who I wanted to become. Every time I took action, whether it was hitting the gym, doing deep work, or resisting distractions, I was casting a vote for my new identity. I was proving to myself day by day that I was no longer the undisciplined, procrastinating version of myself. By the end of the first 30 days, I wasn't just doing disciplined things anymore. I was becoming a disciplined person. The first month of this journey showed me that self-discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about consistency. It's about doing the right thing, even when you don't feel like it. It's about removing the option to fail by setting up systems that make success inevitable. But this was just the beginning. If the first 30 days were about breaking old habits and laying the foundation, the next phase was about something even bigger, turning discipline into a lifestyle. The first 30 days were all about breaking old habits, fighting resistance, and forcing myself to show up daily. But something incredible started happening as I moved into the next 90 days. Self-discipline stopped feeling like a struggle. It became a way of life. The systems I had put in place began running on autopilot, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I was in complete control of my time, my body, and my mind. The transformation was gradual, but undeniable. At first, I had to push myself to work out, wake up early, or resist distractions. Now those actions felt natural. I no longer had to negotiate with myself every morning. I had removed the decision-making process entirely. My new habits were becoming who I was, not just things I was doing. But this phase wasn't without its challenges. The honeymoon period of self-discipline had faded, and now I had to face new obstacles: burnout, self-doubt, and external pressures. Here's how I tackled each area of my life during these 90 days, how I leveled up my discipline, and how I adjusted when things got tough. One of the first things I noticed as discipline became a lifestyle was how much my physical health impacted every other area of my life. When I first started working out daily, it was hard. Some days I had to drag myself to the gym. Other days I barely had the energy to get through a workout. But by the 60-day mark, I felt a massive shift. My workouts were no longer something I had to do. They became something I wanted to do. My energy levels skyrocketed. Waking up early no longer felt exhausting. I was alert, focused, and ready to tackle the day. My body started changing. I wasn't just leaner, I felt stronger, more confident, and more capable. The biggest change, though, was in my relationship with food. Before, I used to eat based on cravings. I'd grab whatever was convenient, even if it made me feel sluggish afterward. But as I built discipline in other areas, I became intentional with my diet. I started fueling my body instead of just eating for pleasure. No more processed junk. I cut out foods that drained my energy. Fast food, excessive sugar, late-night snacking. Eating for performance. I prioritized protein, healthy fats, and complex carbs, foods that fueled my workouts and mental clarity. Hydration became non-negotiable. I drank at least 3 liters of water daily, which significantly improved my focus and reduced brain fog. By the 90-day mark, my body was no longer working against me. It was working for me. My energy was higher, my recovery was faster, and my workouts were no longer a chore. This was when I realized something powerful. Self-discipline in fitness creates self-discipline in life. If you can control what you eat and how you move, you can control anything. With my body feeling stronger, I turned my attention to something even more challenging: my mind. In the first month, I was still battling distractions and old thought patterns. But as I moved deeper into this journey, I wanted to take my mental focus to the next level. 1. Daily meditation, mastering my own mind. I committed to 10 minutes of meditation every morning. No phone, no distractions, just me, my breath, and my thoughts. At first, it was frustrating. My mind raced nonstop, jumping from one thought to another. But over time, meditation became a weapon against stress, overthinking, and anxiety. I became more aware of my thoughts, which helped me break negative thought loops. I stopped reacting impulsively to situations. I learned to pause, think, and respond intentionally. My ability to focus skyrocketed. Distractions that used to derail my day no longer had power over me. 2. Reducing distractions, a digital detox. Another major shift during these 90 days was how I handled distractions. Social media, emails, and notifications had controlled my attention for years, and I knew that if I wanted true mental clarity, I had to take extreme measures. No phone before noon. I stopped checking social media and emails in the morning, which helped me start my day with clarity instead of chaos. Unfollowing distractions. I removed pointless content from my feed. No more clickbait news, toxic influencers, or anything that drained my energy. Deep work mode. I started working in 90-minute distraction-free sprints followed by short breaks. My productivity doubled almost instantly. By the end of these 90 days, my mental discipline had caught up with my physical discipline. I was no longer just controlling my actions, I was controlling my thoughts. And that changed everything. Now that my mind and body were in sync, I started fine-tuning my productivity. The goal wasn't just to work more, it was to work better. 1. Waking up earlier, without feeling tired. By now, waking up early had become my default. But I realized that waking up early isn't what makes you productive. It's what you do with those early hours. So I structured my mornings for maximum efficiency. First hour, no screens, just journaling, meditation, and setting priorities. Second hour, deep work, tackling the most important task of the day while my mind was fresh. Third hour, physical movement, either a workout or a short walk to reset my focus. 2. Prioritizing tasks. The 3 most important tasks rule. Instead of getting overwhelmed by long to-do lists, I focused on just 3 essential tasks per day. This forced me to prioritize what really mattered instead of getting stuck in busy work. Urgent versus important. I stopped reacting to urgent tasks and focused on tasks that moved me toward my long-term goals. Batching work. I grouped similar tasks together, emails, calls, writing, so I could get into flow state faster. Saying no. I became ruthless with my time. No more unnecessary meetings, mindless scrolling, or distractions. Even though I was making massive progress, these 90 days weren't without struggles. I faced 3 major challenges. 1. Burnout. Pushing too hard, too fast. There were moments when I felt completely drained. My energy dipped, my motivation wavered, and I started feeling overwhelmed. I realized that self-discipline isn't just about pushing. It's also about strategic recovery. I introduced active rest days, days where I still followed my habits but at a slower pace. I started prioritizing better sleep, making sure I got at least 7 to 8 hours every night. I allowed myself 1 day per week to relax. No guilt, no pressure. Just time to recharge. 2. Self-doubt. Am I really changing? There were times I wondered if all of this effort was even making a difference. But then I reminded myself, progress isn't always obvious. It's happening in the background. And as long as I kept showing up, the results would come. Third, social pressure. The fear of standing out. Not everyone understood my commitment to self-discipline. Friends questioned why I wasn't going out as much. People made jokes about my routines. But I learned to own my decisions. I surrounded myself with like-minded people, those who supported my growth. I stopped seeking validation from people who weren't on the same path. I reminded myself daily, my discipline is for me, not for anyone else. By the end of these 90 days, self-discipline wasn't something I forced myself to do anymore. It was who I was. My body, mind, and habits had aligned. But there was still one final phase left, reaching the full 365-day mark and seeing the long-term impact of this transformation. The full 365-day transformation. The year that changed everything. By the time I reached the 365-day mark, I barely recognized the person I was a year ago. The lazy, excuse-making, easily distracted version of me had been replaced by someone I never thought I could become. A person who didn't need motivation to take action, who followed through on commitments, and who had complete control over their life. This journey started as an experiment. I wanted to see what would happen if I committed to self-discipline for an entire year. But by the time I reached the end, I realized that I had undergone a total transformation. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. This wasn't just about building better habits anymore. It was about becoming the kind of person who naturally succeeds. I had rewired my brain to embrace discipline, and as a result, my entire life changed in ways I never could have predicted. Let's break down exactly what changed, the biggest lessons I learned, and the surprising benefits I never saw coming. 1. Discipline became my default, not an effort. At the start of this journey, everything felt like a struggle. Waking up early, avoiding distractions, going to the gym, eating clean, it all required conscious effort. But by the time I hit the 365-day mark, these things were no longer decisions, they were simply part of my identity. I didn't have to convince myself to work out, I just did it. I didn't have to fight the urge to procrastinate. My brain was wired to take action. I didn't need motivation to be productive. I had built systems that made productivity automatic. This was a massive shift. Most people fail at self-discipline because they view it as something temporary, something they do instead of something they are. But by staying consistent for an entire year, my brain fully embraced the idea that this wasn't a phase, it was a permanent change. 2. My relationship with comfort and pain completely changed. One of the biggest realizations I had was that comfort is the enemy of growth. Before this challenge, I would avoid discomfort at all costs. If something was hard, I'd put it off. If something made me anxious, I'd distract myself. But after 365 days of self-discipline, I learned to seek out discomfort because that's where the real growth happens. Cold showers, once unbearable, they became a daily reminder that I control my mind, not the other way around. Hard workouts. I stopped dreading them and started craving them because I knew they were making me stronger. Difficult conversations. Instead of avoiding them, I faced them head on, improving my relationships and communication skills. Once you stop running from discomfort, life becomes infinitely easier. Because when you embrace the hard things, nothing can hold you back anymore. A year ago, I was addicted to instant gratification. If something didn't bring immediate results, I would quit. But now, I play the long game. I no longer chase quick wins. I build things that will last. I don't care about overnight success. I focus on long-term mastery. I don't get discouraged by slow progress. I trust the process. This shift alone was life-changing. The moment you start thinking in years instead of days, you start making decisions that lead to real, lasting success. By the end of 365 days, I had tangible results in nearly every area of my life. Here's what changed. First, physical transformation. A stronger, more capable body. At the start of this journey, I was inconsistent with my workouts. My energy levels were unpredictable, and my diet was all over the place. Fast forward to 365 days later, I had built a leaner, stronger physique with visible muscle definition. My endurance had doubled. I could run faster, lift heavier, and train longer. My energy levels were through the roof. No more afternoon crashes or sluggish mornings. My sleep was deeper and more restful because I had eliminated bad habits like late-night screen time and junk food. More importantly, I didn't just look fit. I felt incredible. There was a new level of confidence in how I moved, how I carried myself, and how I approached challenges. Second, career and financial growth. More discipline, more success. Self-discipline didn't just improve my body. It completely transformed my work and financial success. Deep work became my superpower. I learned how to focus for long stretches without distractions, which made me 10 times more productive. My income increased significantly because I was producing better work, staying consistent, and taking on bigger opportunities. I launched new projects, things I had been procrastinating on for years, whether it was a new business, a personal brand, or creative projects, finally became a reality. By the end of the year, I was earning more, producing more, and working less, not because I was hustling harder, but because I had built systems that made success inevitable. Third, relationships and social confidence. One unexpected side effect of discipline: massively improved relationships. Better communication. I became more intentional with my words, listening skills, and ability to hold space for others. Stronger boundaries. I no longer said yes to things that drained me. I protected my time, energy, and mental space. More confidence in social situations. Because I was proud of who I was becoming, I no longer felt the need to prove myself or seek approval from others. I also removed toxic influences, people who were negative, unmotivated, or who tried to pull me back into old habits. Instead, I surrounded myself with like-minded people who were also on a journey of growth. There were also unexpected benefits I never anticipated. 1. Greater self-respect. The biggest reward of this journey wasn't the physical transformation or the increased income. It was the respect I gained for myself. I no longer broke promises to myself. I trusted myself to follow through. I felt a deep sense of inner confidence, not because of external achievements, but because I knew I was in control of my own actions. 2. Increased happiness and less stress. Ironically, by removing comfort and adding discipline, I became happier than ever. My mind was clearer. I had fewer regrets. I no longer felt guilty about procrastination. I enjoyed life more because I had earned my free time instead of wasting it. 3. A new level of freedom. Most people think discipline is restrictive, but after 365 days, I realized something powerful. Discipline equals freedom. When you control your habits, you control your life. When you eliminate distractions, you create more time for things that matter. When you build systems, success becomes effortless. And that's the biggest takeaway from this entire journey. Self-discipline isn't about limiting yourself. It's about unlocking your full potential. What started as a one-year challenge ended up changing me forever. This wasn't a temporary experiment. It was a permanent transformation. The person I am today is completely different from the person I was a year ago, and I wouldn't trade this journey for anything. So if you're wondering whether self-discipline is worth it, my answer is simple. Yes. 1,000 times, yes. Because once you master discipline, you can master anything. Lessons and advice for others. How to build unshakable self-discipline. Looking back on my 365-day journey, I can confidently say that self-discipline is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. Not because it makes you work harder, but because it gives you freedom. Freedom from procrastination, from bad habits, from the frustration of knowing you could be doing more but never taking action. But here's the truth. Self-discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you train. It's not a talent, it's a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And just like with fitness, you don't see results overnight. It's the small daily actions that build momentum over time. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, I want to be more disciplined, but I don't know where to start, I've got you. In this section, I'll break down the key lessons I learned, the biggest mistakes to avoid, and how you can start your own self-discipline journey today. 1. Self-discipline is a muscle, not a talent. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that some people are just naturally disciplined while others aren't. That's false. Nobody is born disciplined. Discipline is a skill, and like any skill, it can be trained. The more you practice self-control, the easier it becomes. The less you give in to temptation, the weaker those distractions become. Most people struggle with discipline because they try to change everything at once, fail, and then assume they're just not capable of being disciplined. But the truth is, you don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to train the muscle. Start small, build consistency, and watch how discipline starts to grow naturally. 2. The compound effect of small daily actions. The biggest transformation in my life didn't come from one big decision. It came from small daily actions that compounded over time. Think about it. If you get 1% better every day in a year, you're 37 times better than when you started. That's the power of consistency. Waking up just 30 minutes earlier every day equals 182 extra hours in a year. Reading just 10 pages a day equals 3,650 pages in a year. That's over 10 books. Working out for just 30 minutes daily equals over 180 hours of exercise per year. Discipline isn't about making extreme sacrifices. It's about making small, smart choices consistently. Over time, those choices snowball into massive results. Third, motivation fades, but systems. Last, motivation is unreliable. Some days you'll feel energized and ready to take on the world. Other days you'll feel tired, unmotivated, or just plain lazy. That's why relying on motivation is a mistake. The key to long-term discipline? Build systems that make success inevitable. If you struggle with distractions, set up a workspace that removes them. If you struggle with working out, put your gym clothes next to your bed every night. If you struggle with procrastination, schedule your tasks the night before so there's no guesswork. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to make the right decision every time. It's about setting up your environment so that the right decision is the easiest one. Now that you understand the key lessons, let's talk about how you can apply them to your own life. Here's a simple step-by-step guide to building self-discipline from scratch. Step 1. Pick one area to focus on. Start small. Trying to change everything at once is a recipe for failure. Instead, pick one area of your life where you want to be more disciplined. Want to be healthier? Start with just 10 minutes of exercise per day. Want to be more productive? Start with just 30 minutes of deep work every morning. Want to build better habits? Start with just one habit at a time, like reading 10 pages a day. Master one habit before adding another. Discipline builds like a snowball. It starts small but gains momentum over time. Step 2. Create a system. Remove willpower from the equation. Once you pick your habit, make it automatic by setting up a system that removes decision-making. Example 1. If you want to work out in the morning, lay out your gym clothes the night before. Example 2. If you want to stop procrastinating, set up a focus zone with no distractions. Example 3. If you want to wake up earlier, put your phone across the room so you have to get out of bed. The easier you make it to follow through, the more likely you'll stay consistent. Step 3. Track your progress. Visual accountability. Tracking progress is one of the most powerful motivation hacks. Your brain loves seeing progress, so create a visual streak tracker to hold yourself accountable. Use a calendar. Mark an X every day you stick to your habit. Don't break the streak. Use an app. Apps like Habitica, Streaks, or Notion can help track habits. Use a journal. Write a short reflection every day on what went well and what needs improvement. Seeing your progress will keep you motivated, even on days you don't feel like it. Step 4. Get an accountability partner, or go public. One of the biggest reasons people fail is lack of accountability. When you keep your goals to yourself, it's easy to let yourself off the hook. Instead, find a discipline partner, someone who is also working on a goal and can check in with you daily. Tell people about your challenge. Announce your goal publicly. It creates social pressure to follow through. Join an online community. Reddit, Discord groups, or accountability forums can help you stay committed. When you make quitting embarrassing, you're far less likely to give up. Books, tools, and frameworks. That helped me throughout my journey. I consumed a ton of books, videos, and resources on self-discipline. Here are the ones that had the biggest impact. Books on self-discipline and habits. Atomic Habits. James Clear. The best book on habit building and systems. The 5 a.m. Club. Robin Sharma. A powerful guide on mastering your mornings. Can't Hurt Me. David Goggins. A masterclass in mental toughness and self-discipline. Deep Work. Cal Newport teaches how to focus intensely and eliminate distractions. Tools and apps that helped. Notion. Evernote. For daily journaling and tracking habits. Google Calendar/Apple Reminders. For scheduling deep work and workouts. Forest Freedom app. Blocks distractions and improves focus. Habitica. Turns habit tracking into a fun game with rewards. If you've made it this far, here's the truth. Everything you need to become disciplined is already inside you. You just need to start. The key is not waiting for the perfect moment. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to take action. Today. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one habit and commit to it for 30 days. Just one, and see what happens. Because once you build momentum, you'll realize something powerful. Self-discipline isn't a punishment. It's a superpower. And once you master it, you can achieve anything. So here we are, 365 days later. A full year of self-discipline, small habits, and daily consistency. When I started this journey, I had no idea how much it would change my life. I thought discipline was just about working harder, but I learned it's about something far more powerful, building the life you truly want. Maybe you've been stuck in a cycle of procrastination. Maybe you've set goals in the past but never followed through. Maybe you feel like you'll never be disciplined enough to make real progress. But I promise you, if I can do this, so can you. I wasn't born disciplined. I wasn't naturally productive. I spent years struggling with bad habits, distractions, and self-doubt. But the moment I stopped waiting for motivation and started relying on systems, everything changed. And that's the biggest lesson I want to leave you with. The hardest part is starting. Once you take the first step, no matter how small, you set something powerful in motion. You prove to yourself that you are capable of change. And when you repeat that step every single day, even when you don't feel like it, even when life gets in the way, that's when self-discipline becomes your superpower. Now I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell me, what's one area of your life you want to be more disciplined in? Is it fitness, productivity, your morning routine, your mindset? Drop your goal in the comments and let's build this journey together. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button. Not just for me, but as a commitment to yourself. A small action like that is how discipline starts. And of course, if you want more content on habits, discipline, and personal growth, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more videos coming that will help you stay consistent and level up your life. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.